Hello, it's Retro Martin, and this time we're looking at just one game rather than a series. Those of you in the know will see the colourful action on your screen currently and will realise we are looking at Dream Mix TV World Fighters. Riding the wave of Smash Brothers hysteria, we have a crossover arena fighter drawing on the characters and IPs from three companies: Konami, Takara and Hudson, and mash them all together for some bonkers action on the PlayStation 2 and GameCube. All the footage you see here is recorded from the GameCube version specifically on actual hardware. No emulation was used at any point. The game itself released in Japan only on the 18th of December 2003, so probably a bit too close for Christmas, except for the last minute dad buying of course. Looking at its most popular and obvious inspiration, Smash Brothers, Dream Mix TV World Fighters has several arenas based on the various characters' franchises, and anywhere from 2 to 4 fighters on screen smashing each other up whilst darting about the screen. The general gameplay outside of pitting characters against each other is effectively attacking your opponent until they lose hearts, which you can then pick up. Once enough hearts have been obtained, the character's soul, depicted as a huge heart, will start flying around the screen, whilst the opponent himself shrinks as to make them a bit useless in combat. If your opponent reaches their heart quickly, they will grow back to normal size and can carry on fighting. However, if anybody else grabs the heart, the opponent is defeated and can no longer fight. If that's the last opponent, then hooray! You win. If not, you'll need to continue until everyone is done for. The actual fighting itself isn't the same as Smash Brothers. In that franchise you have normal attacks and special attacks all tied to using the directions, along with the requisite buttons for 8 odd different attacks. In this game, alongside standard throwing, guarding and dodging, each character has a couple of basic attacks and up to 2 or 3 special moves. This leads to quite repetitive fighting with your chosen characters. You're likely seeing the same attacks very often, and it doesn't give quite the same fighting variety that Smash Brothers does. As noted at the start, there are 3 IP holders here, with Konami, Hudson and Takara. Now bear in mind this is a Japanese property and not just solely video game focused as we go. Hudson has 6 characters: Bombman from the franchise of the same name, who can drop bombs and kick them at enemies; Master Higgins from the Wonder Boy knockoff series Adventure Island, who can throw spears and axes; Yugo Ogami, who can turn into a wolf and slash enemies with his claws, who's from the Bloody Raw franchise; Momotaro from Momotaro Densetsu, who attacks people with his katana; Bimbogami, also from Momotaro Densetsu, who's a very oddball character whose attacks can do different effects; and finally Manjimaru Sengoku from Tengai Makyo, who is your typical sword-wielding human who can imbue his blade with lightning and fire for his attacks. On Konami's side we have Simon Belmont from Castlevania, who attacks with his whip and a throwing cross. Twinbee from the Twinbee franchise, who can attack with his hammer and also summon a bell which can have the colour changed to produce a different effect. Power Pro Kun from the Power Pro's baseball series, who of course attacks with his baseball bat. Solid Snake from the Metal Gear franchise, who rather oddly just uses C4 and grenades instead of any truly ranged equipment. And for the Gradius fans, the Maui Head, who fires rings from his mouth of different levels of power. Finally, we have the Takara inclusions, which is where my warning regarding toys versus video games came from, and has some of the most interesting inclusions. Outside of Takao, or Tyson Granger as he was known in the West, from Beyblade, who attacks with his Dragoon Beyblade, we also have M121 Mason from Microman, a small robotic toy who fires a blaster and can use his rotor jetpack to fly around, as well as growing to giant size to hit enemies. Perhaps the most interesting inclusion is Licca-Chan from Licca-Chan, the Japanese adjacent of Barbie, who pirouettes to suck hearts from enemies. Rounding off the Takara group is Asuka from Psy-Girls, a ninja who attacks with a katana and flames, and then two characters who are perhaps the only reason many people in the West even know about this game. Optimus Prime and Megatron from the Transformers franchise, both based on their toy art rather than the cartoons or anime themselves. Optimus attacks by transforming into a truck and either mowing down enemies or spinning his trailer in a nice wide lariat attack. And finally Megatron turns into his handgun mode to shoot across the screen. So as you can see, there's a lot of characters here to play with, so somebody is going to have a favourite. All the characters have multiple costumes to their name, with Solid Snake having some very impressive choices. Most characters have recolours, which in the cases of characters like Bomberman and Twinbee, make them look like different characters from their franchises, but Snake actually has costumes, like his tuxedo, and his seal outfit to make him look like Iroquois Pliskin from Metal Gear Solid 2. Good stuff. As noted before, there are plenty of stages on offer from the various franchises. As a fan of Transformers and Metal Gear, the Big Shell and Devastator warehouse stages are some of my favourites, with the latter having the Combiner Devastator in the background in his Generation 2 yellow colour, whilst everybody is jumping all over the stage. Each stage offers some hazards relevant to that franchise as well. Whilst the stages themselves are relatively small and don't quite reach the lofty heights and multiple places to fight avenues of Smash Brothers, there is plenty of variety here, and you will get a big kick out of them if your favourite franchise is shown. From the lush tropical environs of Adventure Island to the creepy backdrop of the Castlevania stage, with the standard baseball stage for Power Pros and the two-floored dollhouse of Licca-Chan. What they don't have in size, they do make up for in nice, colourful visuals. So on to the actual modes. The main attraction is of course World Fighters mode, which is the standard story mode. The story is that the World Fighters TV show needs to boost its audience figures, and its two hosts grab loads of different characters to compete. Fans of Bomberman will recognise host Mujo, who is an antagonist from the franchise, but here is the hapless host that gets messed about by the slapstick antics of his co-host Haruna, an original character for the game. You will partake in 6 stages, each with a different number of opponents on each, with some cutscenes between Mujo and Haruna, charged with shouting, screaming and slapstick humour between. At the end of stage 6, Haruna will catapult Mujo into a spacecraft in a last-ditch attempt to boost the ratings and make your chosen hero fight him. This final boss battle offers the biggest difficulty of the entire story mode, with a lot of attacks going on and Mujo himself being tough to hit at times with an awkward inner hitbox. Once completed, you will receive an overall rating for the show out of 100%, and the higher, of course, leads to a better rank. Reaching rank A with a chosen character will unlock information and art about their stage, whereas just completing the story mode alone unlocks a character info card with some art for them. Also on offer is a multiplayer mode, which does exactly what it says on the tin, as well as caravan mode, which has a bunch of score-based challenges. There's also a library section to view the aforementioned character and stage profiles that you have unlocked. So I mentioned earlier the multitude of characters, and when you start the game, some of the spots will be locked behind question marks. These are unlocked by calm down modern gamers with your credit cards and gacha boxes, actually playing the game. Completing story mode with one character from a particular owner's IP unlocks one more for that IP. The second one is unlocked by beating story mode with every character from that IP that you've unlocked so far. Basically, if you want to unlock Snake, you'll need to beat the story mode with a Konami character. This will lead to you playing through story mode many times to unlock everyone, as well as chasing all the A ranks, which, if you achieve, unlocks a character card for Mujo himself, though he remains unplayable in the game. As a game, it's definitely an arena fighter cash-in on Konami's part, but is ultimately a fun one that is absolutely bonkers with a good variety of characters and stages, and is definitely worth seeking out to play. I had lots of fun going through it with my son watching, who was laughing at all the zany things going on, and I sat and went through it with each character and enjoyed every go, though it definitely took me a playthrough to get used to how the game worked. I hope you've enjoyed this look at DreamMix TV World Fighters, and have inspired you to go and try it out for yourselves. I've been Retro Martin, and I'll see you in the next video.